I had a weird energy that really cracked my egg. Because the most sexist shit cracked my egg. It's so
Mm-hmm.
weird. Was when he looked at me and was like, "Bitch, make me a sandwich," and I was just like, first euphoria, and I was like, "Wait, what the f?"
Hi, my friends, fiends, and unsavory beans. We're here with another interview, and I am with the lovely fellow trans demon, Scaruri!
Hi, hi, how's it going? You're awesome, and valid, and pog, and precious. Hi, hi.
So,
Yeah.
can you tell the people who you are, what you do, etc.?
I I'm Scaruri. I'm the scariest little trans demon VTuber you've ever seen. If you search up transbian memes on YouTube, I'll be one of the first little lovely videos you find. I just make a bunch of little trans meme content. I stream games and make them as gay as I truly can, and sometimes I do film stuff. And other times music stuff. But mostly I'm known for my gay stuff. Yeah. I'm a scary little demon. I've done music, I've done films, but really what you modernly may know me as is a little transbian VTuber that makes little meme videos. That if you search on YouTube, transbian memes, I'll be one of those first videos that pop up. That might be where you see my little scary ass. Yeah. I'm here at my first little interview in VR and very happy to be here.
You know, we were commenting right as we started to record that we were highly amused with how similar our reds were.
Yeah, we keep it red. All day, every day, scary little red demon. Slay. Are you? Are you scary?
Uh, well, I don't know if I'm scary.
You're cute.
Well, what made you? I know why I chose the demon thing, but why did you choose the demon thing?
Well, when I was first actually developing this avatar, I was more between like cat and demon, and I was actually going for more of like a cat demon aesthetic. But the way that I got these horns to look overall, I just loved the look of it. I tried to really implement it more into like cat ears on top of this, but it always just felt like it was doing way too much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, going about making these horns was just like a bunch of stuff, a bunch of like aesthetic things I had like saved on Tumblr, DeviantArt, and just like a bunch of different like photos I had saved it across different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love the way these chains look.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the way that I am a bit of a demon, I'm it in a very scary way, and I have a very secret to the kind of demon that will come out as time goes on. But I don't think it's time yet.
The lore! The lore!
The yeah.
It's well known the reason I do it is I ran into a lot of Christian purity stuff and when I was younger and I wanted to like wear what they think we as trans people are with like a badge of honor on my chest, but you're a little bit more spoopy than me, I would agree.
Yeah, I'm the scary little demon the media warned you about. Rawr.
I mean, you have a pentagram in your 2D avatar in one of the eyes.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes they toggle that on, sometimes they don't. What you may not know is I also even have an Uzumaki eye. That I have a little spiral in my
Oh.
other that comes and goes to be a little
Mm.
extra scary when people doubt me. Yeah.
So, why did you want to be an influencer?
Overall, it's something that's been with me since I was just a little kid. Like when I was first like introduced to that kind of stuff at like 11 years old and was watching like Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, all kinds of folk like that. That was back in the early days where I was I want to do that. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
want to make people smile. I want to have fun making videos. At 12 years old is when I started making gaming videos. And what I and I did it so cringe. I used to frame up my camera to the TV playing Minecraft on the Xbox 360.
It's okay. I had many failed attempts at doing this as well. I have cringe old content out floating around that no one will ever find.
Back in that early era, I kind of wanted to go a little bit off of that into that was around the same time I actually got a little bit into VR as well. Right at the end of 2014, I was seeing like a bunch of YouTubers just playing horror games in VR, and I found that so freaking awesome. I just felt like it was the next step in horror. Like just the scariest you could ever feel is just feeling like you're right there with the monster. And of course, my little 12-year-old, I got the dev kit too. I set it up with my laptop that didn't even have a built-in graphics card. So I'm surprised it even ran at all. But my little 12-year-old me was just so terrified just playing like Slenderman way back in that era.
Gotcha. God, we have such a different age gap because, like, my first thing to VR was the Virtual Boy. Like,
Your first VR was Red!
yes, it was. It really was. Although I didn't own it, but I had played it, and then The Matrix and all of that, and that's a lifetime obsession. But it wasn't until relatively recently I was like, oh, the tech is actually like worth it. .tm to actually invest in, and then I'm here. Oh my
Let's
goodness.
go!
So when did you level up from your previous incarnation to this lovely cheapy lady we see today?
There were many steps to this journey. It wasn't just like one day I woke up and bam, scary little demon. I took many steps. I could start off with where I started feeling my femininity.
Mm-hmm.
When I was like 5 years old, I remember. I will say I do call my mother a birth giver because they're very, very much just hateful of everything that I am, and there's just a lot of like things that I just won't go deeper into with that.
Facts.
Anyway, I remember at that era, she had this DVD, this Paris Hilton DVD of The Simple Life. And I remember I loved it as like a little kid. I was like, oh my god, bitch. Oh my god, yes, bitch. Yes, queen. And I was just like, it was my first ever like feminine side. And it was just so hyperbolically cringe. Oh my god. I still remember when I had that over at my grandparents and they just came downstairs and I was watching it, the look on their face. I was just like, what are you looking at, bitch? But I think that was like my first touch of like anything that was actually leaning anywhere near traditionally, like, oh my god, like feminine kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until 8 was when the first time I actually had my first feeling of gender euphoria, which I felt that way before I ever did dysphoria. I remember it distinctly because I was hanging out with my one friend, I remember my birth giver's friend had like a daughter I was good friends with. She'd come into town once every few weeks. And she just looks at me and goes, okay, yeah, you can be the girl. And goes, wait, no, I mean, I can be the girl. And I looked at her and go, no, I want to be the girl. I want to be the girl. And ever since she's like, okay, you can be a girl. And I was like, yeah. It was so fun to just play like the motherly vibe. I remember later in that day, we also played like SingStar and it's just avoid copyright, but let's just say I sung like the most feminine songs that PS2 system had.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I recall, music has been important to you, though, right?
Yeah, it actually grew with me a little bit more as I aged, especially when I was about 14. I really slowed down with my YouTube because I was having like really bad conflictions with living with my grandparents, and they ended up forcing me into playing masculine sports and forced me down on
Yikes.
playing football, and I was just so not about it. I was
Mm-hmm.
purposefully failing two of my classes so I didn't have to do anything, and it was like more my rebellious tone of doing
Mm-hmm.
so. And it wasn't until my one friend just ended up walking off the field and just like, oh, I quit. And that's when it just kind of clicked in my brain. It was like, oh wait, it's that easy. I can just walk off, walk home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just ended up hanging out at his place a bit later. I got in like a ton more trouble, but at that point I just didn't care. My PC, my everything was already taken from me. I just had nothing to really care anymore, and I was actually hoping those Republican parents would consider me a lost cause. Because if they considered me a lost cause, then they would just have nothing to do, give up, give me all my things, and just let me be. That was really like, my whole aim of it all.
Mm.
It's actually what pushed me to living more with my birth giver. As much as I resented her, I could at least end up dyeing my hair and painting my nails and doing certain things. Really, where her wall was being trans was where her hate lied. I did grow up in a very like red Republican area of what's considered more of a purple state. And all I'll just say
Mm-hmm.
is I'm just not there and ain't touching it anymore. But it was Pennsylvania, not too far from where that moldy orange peel actually did get shot at, not too far away from there.
Mm-hmm.
That just gives understanding of just how red that kind of place was, to where
Wow.
I didn't even end up seeing other trans folk until I was in high school. I was at
Mm-hmm.
about the end of 10th grade. But yeah, that's actually trying to step back a little bit for my 14, 15-year-old self. The beginning of my early high school, I was starting to write more music, and I'm not gonna act like this was the most melodic or like I had these grand influences. No, no, I was the cringy kid that listened to Eminem and Kendrick Lamar. That was my rapper energy. I like Lil Uzi Vert. I like the Law Lils. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
That was more my energy at the time. What I felt was a big influence on me at the time, especially going into 16, was more alternative rock mixed with trap that I guess I could say Lil Peep was spearheading. That was a little bit reminiscent of a mix of what that rap era was doing mixed with Nirvana, and just
Mm.
certainly had like that blend of old and new that really came to me. The first songs I actually ended up releasing were more or less just me just crying more into a microphone to my energy and just releasing that into the world. And I was just trying to just get things out of my system. And I almost felt like a microphone, whether I was super angry about things or super sad, that was just a healthy way of just washing it all out of my system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And especially with like my earlier like YouTube energy more or less dying off with that, I started leaning into, especially because the friends I was surrounding myself with smoking a lot more weed, just all of that kind of energy, just stoner girl vibes.
You said stoner girl vibes. Were you already at that point or no?
I was in my femboy era at that point. I was in my, all right, I'm dyeing my hair, I'm painting my nails, I'm wearing more pink, I'm slipping more into the femininity. I wasn't fully to like the thigh highs yet. I was still more wearing like ripped jacket. I was more like goth femboy. It wasn't until my senior year that I actually started taking these things called Proestro that I just got off of Amazon. What it was is just this over the counter thing for like for menopause, and I would just read so many things online about it, and I was just so blatantly like so sick of this masculine leaning thing. Still at that point wasn't really sure that I was fully girl at the time because I was thinking so much into gender norms. I was so brainwashed that way into gender norms. Plus, I just felt like I had more like two different sides of me, and I wasn't fully understanding where it stood with me. So at the end of 2020, when I went off to film school in October, that's when I started my first time living in a bluer area, and that's where I actually came out as bigender. That
Mm.
was the first time that I actually felt like I could actually be myself.
And what did that mean to you at the time?
It really meant to me that I could just boy mode at one point, girl mode at another, and I was just more or less, I think mentally, as much as I was trying to shove it in the back of my head, I was so hyper focused on passing above all through so much of college
Mm,
that it took
mm-hmm.
me 3 semesters in there to actually undo that and just get to a point of saying that and respect my pronouns.
Mm,
Key point I'm missing out on is when I was in college, I did have a partner at the time who was trans masked that really helped me a bit through that and was
oh,
telling me it was
yeah.
okay and was really validating, and that was really my biggest and really just my support system there. That's just what I
Yeah.
had.
Ironically enough, I had the same experience.
Oh,
Yeah, my ex-husband was trans mask.
interesting. That's wild.
So many things in common. Whoa,
Teenage.
whoa.
Rawr. Yeah. To be more specific, here went by Demi Boy, as we both kind of agreed that we just weren't fully leaning on binary, no matter what, and that I was more interested in feeling more girl, and they actually were just they theming me to everyone until I was really like certain
Mm-hmm.
on everything. He was he, they at the time, and let's just say as time went on, I was like in college. Oh my god, life was a lot at that time. I was not only just going to like film school, like in college, but I was also the work study at my school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually managing the equipment ops on top of that. So when I wasn't in school and I wasn't managing that or doing the online portions, I'd either be working on my film stuff or my friends' film stuff, or jumping on as many sets as I could really be on. And it was really just the like bit of time left is just what we really spent together.
Mm.
For about a year it was good. Until what I noticed with him, his first like really hyper masculine euphoric feeling he was, being like around the boys, around the guys, was around a bunch of Joe Rogan supporters. That was the surface level of it.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, it just started to go down a more just negative route between us. I had a weird energy that really cracked my egg, because the most sexist shit cracked my egg. It's so
Mm-hmm.
weird. It was between, I think the first one was when he looked at me and was like, "Bitch, make me a sandwich," and I was just like, first euphoria, and I was like, "Wait, what the f-?" That's when I went from euphoria to fuming. I was like, is he really thinking of this for euphoria, or is this because of how the people he's been around?
Yeah.
Because we already had like little just fights and stuff about that. More of just like that's just what you're gonna become is who you're around. That's just how humans work. You just end
It's
up
really
being more and
sad.
more of who you're around. The weird part was he's very understanding of that. He's just very much like in the denial of just the folk he was around being that, because the whole feeling so much euphoria no matter how much the group he was around, no matter how toxic that was.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that really broke it, because that was about the time, that was around the time that I just started being like, okay, I'm just she, her. I'm just no matter what. But right after that, I was given the biggest hit of dysphoria from him that I think I'd ever gotten. Because when I came home, he was sitting on the porch with a friend, and he was just talking about how much he just hates women. Like, was genuinely just full blown sexist as shit. And I was just like, what the f-? And we went on like a fight about that. And his first response was, oh, I don't mean you. And that just sent so much pain just down my body. I was just shaking. Like, I was just so over all of that. After that was when I just started really separating our things. Just like, we're done. And you keep pushing, things will get worse, but we're done. We already had like an extra spare room. I was just like, you chill, we'll figure this out. You have your own room. We have a couple months left. Just do you. I'm done. We're not dating. We're done with this. And the more he just pushed and pushed and pushed about it and tried to act like he wasn't misogynistic. It went from saying he didn't mean it, that he was over exaggerating that, to saying he just didn't like femininity, and there was just so much BS about it, back and forth, that I just ended up just breaking it off entirely.
How did it feel to have the same person that gave you that gift at the beginning then end up slamming you down like that?
It felt like so much pain, so much hatred. I felt like my brain was genuinely malfunctioning. It was such a
Mm-hmm.
hard thing to process. But all I was feeling was some of the most hateful that I really could in life, and that was just wafting over me the whole time, for like a whole day, until it just hit me that no matter what I do, if I were to anything that any lashing out and anything that I would ever do, it would only worsen everything, and that they're just going to destroy themselves. And that was really just what calmed me down, was just realizing how much of what they've done to their life now is just going to watch them just wither away, and I can't do anything. The only thing I can do is burn this bridge and go our separate ways.
Ultimate betrayal to just being like, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Hmm. Do you happen to know how far he went down that particular rabbit hole?
He ended up moving in with one of them. It wasn't until about a year later, my other friend who had him on Facebook just sent me screenshots and was just like, this is the most wild shit I've ever seen. It would be like trans rights or human rights, followed by another post of like an Andrew Tate quote being like, this is so real. Women are awful. And it was just, and I was just like, what the f-?
Joe Rogan is like a mushy brained, influenced by the person just sitting in front of him. It would make sense that your ex would be similar.
Yeah, I think overall that was just such a mind frick, seeing that someone is on one side trans rights, human rights, on the other Andrew Tate supporter. And it was just a very shocking thing, but a year later they weren't doing well, and they would kind of destroyed themselves like I knew they would. Right after film school and just getting right outside of that and moving to my next place, I just turned 20. If I hadn't added that context yet, I did go to a trade school that was about
Mm-hmm.
a 16-month trade school that just ran you through no summer breaks or anything. Only 1 month after that release that I started estrogen. Started my little blue pill. Actually, a few weeks from now, at the end of March, actually will be my transversary, and in 3 years on estrogen. Yeah. Girly pop, girly pop, girly pop. But yeah, that's when I started my estrogen. I got my Spiro and my little blue pills, and it was really nice. Titties! Titty girls! Titties! Anyway, yes, when I went to start HRT anyway, I did put on a little bit of weight a few months going towards it, because my thought process was, if you put fat there, start the meds, work off the stomach, would that
Mm-hmm.
not lead to leaving the booba? That was my unscientific look at it.
Yeah.
But within 90 days from there, working off the tummy and HRT, I had already had size B cups.
Yay!
Yeah.
So you identify as non-binary now. How, like, has your identity shifted from that kind of femboy to now?
I identify as NB girl.
Mm-hmm.
And with MB girl, I go by that term. What it means to me is I mostly feel like she, her, and girl things are just what I lean towards.
Mm-hmm.
Though where I feel like I'm just outside of the binary range personally
Yeah.
is there's a good, I'd say 20% of the time where I just feel like I fit nowhere in the spectrum of gender, of hypermasc, hyperfem, of anything, and I just don't feel I fit
Yeah.
there. Between coming out in the end of college, it was about until, was it the end of 2023, not too long ago, that I was feeling like androgynous girl. And I was definitely hyped up by like a lot of my friends being cis lesbians, not having those friends really like affirmed me that like there's not really one way, things aren't as binary. And I was considering myself more like of an androgynous girl. Even though there were still these days that it wasn't as often, it wasn't even the majority, but I just felt these days that she, her, I get it, you're respecting me, and it's so right that that's how it goes, but there's just those days that I'm just like, I don't feel that. I feel like, if anything, I'm they, them. I'm just very outside of everything, binary labels, at all. And it's something that doesn't lean like it's not a constant. It's really like fluidity in how I am with my gender. And it's valid that anyone has that, and their feelings are always valid and to be respected. And you are who you are. An awesome, pog, and valid being. Yeah.
I had some of those feelings, but for me, I kind of hung that on my autism. I was like, when I don't feel like, yay, she, her, hyperpop, woo. For me, it's like, oh, I'm in autism. I do not want to be perceived day more than I hang it on my actual gender. It's just interesting that it's like different things having similar results.
Yeah, and really, we can have these similar feelings, but but think of ourselves these different ways and are completely valid. It's what makes us feel who we are. It's what makes us who we are.
Exactly.
Overall.
Chat. You're allowed to be similar
Yeah,
and different, and you
valid.
don't have to have it be exact. Like, I must have these clean boxes where the genders do not touch.
Wait. If it's a box, if I fit, I sit. Wow.
Oh, you had to,
I
didn't
like a
you?
box. Yeah. I fit. I sit. Blah 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 blah.
Okay, to kind of go into something completely different, like, I'm aware that you are a part of Pride VR. I don't quite understand everything about it. Why don't you kind of tell chat about it?
So, Pride VR is a wonderful little LGBTQ community within VR chat that actually, let's start from its beginnings. It started out as a very heavily moderated black cat that we called the queer cat because it was
Mm.
very, very queer leaning and heavily moderated. And it's just how these beginnings really started. And we actually took an interest by the creator, Spooky Ghost Boo, who's
Hmm.
helping us here and there with our modern Pride City. But what it really blossomed, like what our goal has always been from the start, is always creating a safe space for queer and LGBTQ youth to really just come hang out and be themselves. We already know VR chat in VR is just such an egg cracking haven. It's such a neurodivergent haven at
Yeah,
that
that
point
too.
too. And it's important that we have these spaces to be free to be ourselves, that are moderated, that we don't have to deal with hateful, prejudiced people.
Yeah.
And we really just want to create just a good vibe for the community and just make it the best we really can. And that was simply where our beginnings were. As we've grown and evolved over time, we've went beyond the black cat. We actually started doing this thing called Adventure Queers, which is our adventure nights every Wednesdays where we just go world hopping
Mm.
as a group and we just have a fun little gay little time. We also started little queer pug events as well, which
Mm.
were similar but more laid back at the queer pug. Until about October last year, we actually started building our own world, spearheaded by Frizzy and Danny Ostellos. Shout out Frizzy and Danny Mitch. The Pride City world, where our goal now with building that is to make VR's first ever Pride Parade.
Oh, snap. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we want a Pride Parade that's accessible to everyone. But even at like Pride Parade, like anywhere from California, New York City, or anywhere outside of the U.S., I know everywhere has them. It can be overstimulating because of how much noise, how many people, overwhelming. But with everything you can have, the earmuff mode, audio calling, that's what we could just do in VR. It could just be accessible to everyone.
Oh my god, that would be so good. Outside is so hard.
We don't have a specific confirmed date, but somewhere between the 20th and the very last day of June is what we're aiming to build that for. And yeah, we've been working with something that we've actually excited some people that even work at VR chat to help us out with, and that's about as far as I'll go into that. But yeah, very gay pride parade.
But what do
Yeah.
you do?
Oh, me? I'm the head of media. Yeah. Every time you see the little graphic designs, anytime you see a video that comes out, it's always a super awesome freaking team that I work with that ends up pumping those out and just doing such a freaking amazing job. And each one of them are just some of the best folk. And I'm so fortunate to just be surrounded by some of the best folk I could ever really think of.
Aw.
And it's it's crazy just because when I first joined about 10 months ago, if you look at my YouTube channel, it was when the media portion of Pride VR was actually very new. Like it wasn't until about a year ago that I started building onto the media portion. And I was one of the first two that wasn't under photography.
Mm-hmm.
So I even have what I was saying on my YouTube channel. One of my videos is actually a Pride VR audition video to be the video editor. And yeah, so that's what I ended up being onboarded as, was a video editor in the very beginning. But I had already had skills in filming and graphic design, writing, and just a bunch of different diverse talents. And by about, I'm trying to think, it was June or July. No, it was after. It was after. Yeah, it was July of last year is when I actually got promoted to head coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt it was so freaking cool. And I just always love having these opportunities of leadership. It just really helps me just grow. And I just love that. Even when I feel like my first taste of that was in film school when I was directing little short films and really just having to guide
Yeah.
everything from the lighting to the actors, the cameras to the every, every little thing, planning out shot lists. Actually, funny enough, just a little tidbit. When I got to film school, and this is like a traditional film school for like anyone, they ask you, how many here wants to be a director? And I was like one of the only two people that didn't put their hands up.
Mm.
And by the end of it, I was one of the three people who put their hands up because they usually expect you to want to be that and have like the ego in you for that, and then at the end
Mm-hmm.
like just say nah, too much work. But no, I actually loved how much work went into it. I went into film school saying, all right, I'm a video editor. I've been video editing for 5 years between Sony Vegas to Premiere Pro, not counting the movie maker years. But I'm just gonna go into this. I'm gonna know each and every bit of film to make me just a better storyteller and video editor. That was just my point in going in there. That, and also a big drive to me, was pretty much, yeah, you come here, you can just go into the equipment office and just walk out with 35 grand worth of equipment, and we don't care, just sign it out and just bring it back.
Oh, your arms are too small to dab.
It's not fair. I'm the bobblehead version. Yeah.
Okay.
Going from there, it's actually been pretty recent of stepping up as the team lead, the head of media, as our last head actually ended up stepping down a bit sooner than expected due to more personal kinds of reasons. That when they ended up stepping down, it was actually right around the time just post-election.
Yeah.
And I already felt so much in me post that election that I was just so over everything, and my energy just said everything now is just going into making as much queer media as I truly can, as big of an impact as it can be made in a queer community. And that's when my VTuber stuff switched out of just streaming horror games and being horror centric. The way I thought of it was switching from like what I wanted to fight ever since then, and just wanted to put every grain of energy streaming YouTube stuff over to more queer content and really just help make a difference in this world and put as many smiles on some of the kind of souls that I've ever come across. Just want to help this community as much as I can.
Aw, you little demon. You go from a big scary horror terror to trying to help the community.
Yeah, scary demons like not cute. I'm scary demons like what.
Yeah, whatever you say.
What do you mean? You're totally trembling. You're totally trembling.
Oh, I have the vapors.
Yeah.
You've really gone into that meme content, just bringing joy and smiles and being silly. Is that just really important to you right now?
I feel like Pride VR is more where I feel the activism side, the rebellious nature, and a lot of where I feel the most educative side of me is coming out, like really being pushed. I need an outlet to really inform. What I do on YouTube, the videos, is more of a way to really just ease your mind outside of all the crazy things going on in this world, and just to really just enjoy some really fun, cozy little memes, relax your mind, feel a little bit of euphoria, just have a good time. But if you are in the streams, that's when I'll get a little bit more personal, as that's just going to be a little bit more just unfiltered, kind of little scary little demon. And, you know, it's just a little variety. Blah, 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 blah,
Do you
blah.
have a particular meme that you've done that like you liked the most, like that you cut into a short or whatever?
I like calling Chad a good girl. Every time I get called Chad a good girl, that's the best one. That's the best one.
Oh,
Every time
okay.
I feel like I'm affirming folks the best that I can. I can't say there's a specific one, but if it's super gay and it makes people feel euphoria, and I get to call girlies good girls, that's the best
Well,
one.
my
Yeah.
transbian and Lilith, do you want to do it to my chat?
Hi. You're a good girl, aren't you? Yeah. Aren't you? So precious. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there are a lot of good girls, boys, and non-binary beings out there. Y'all are very, very good.
Good girls, very good boys, very pog masterful genderless beings.
Exactly. Okay. Well, is there anything that you feel like you want to say, either about your story or the current climate? Like anything at all you want to share before we kind of end this out?
No matter where you feel you are in this journey right now, that you always have the ability to lift others up, to make the world better, no matter what. You really don't know how capable you are until you try. So seriously, do whatever you think your energy is best fit for. Just go for it. You're stronger than you realize, you're more powerful than you realize, and you're just super freaking pog and amazing. So get out there and live your freaking dream.
Aww, that is amazing. All right, my fiends. I think if you got to the end of this interview, I think you have to post the demon horn emoji and your thoughts on the interview. I am so glad you're here. Please subscribe, ring the bell, subscribe to Scaruri on all the platforms too. She's amazing. Where exactly? What is your exact at so people can find you?
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. Like, it's been a pleasure to be here. My at pretty much everywhere is just Scaruri, except for Twitch. Someone took that, so it's Scaruri VT. But everything else, Scaruri, yeah.
Yeah, give us both a subscribe and ring the heckin' bell. Bye-bye now.
Subscribe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Welcome to the end card. Scaruri is pretty great, isn't she? If you want more of her, and me for that matter, on her channel you can see us going over some trans memes! Also subscribe, ring the bell. I want to thank my $5 plus patrons. And after you watch her video, why don't you watch this one right here? Please! It would make my day.